Hey all, hope you guys are doing well. I'm actually doing an early deadline stream because I will be leaving a little bit before the deadline. And when I mean a little bit before the deadline, I actually mean probably an hour and 30 minutes before the deadline. So of course, we have a classic sort of 8 p.m. slot here within the UK. That means the deadline is going to be at 6:30. I just can't I can't stream until then. I'm actually going to go on a flight soon. So yeah, that's why we're doing the early deadline stream. Just got off work as well, so that's kind of the plan. Over the course of the stream, I'll be making that move of Pagetta to Enzo, pending any potential other news. So that's pretty much the update for today. Um, yeah, hope you guys are doing well though. Let's see chat questions. So Dolls95. Hello, Fran. Rotor Enzo is fit and ready to play. I think both of them are ready to play. A niche for free transfers planning Enzo and Saka for Reinders and Stack. You need funds. So you need Gyökeres to Krupi Jr., Tarkowski to a sub 4.4 million defender. Maybe Van Heck is the one for you. Or maybe, of course, you can just go for Rodon from Leeds. Current defense, Gabriel Sines. Oh, you already have Rodon. Plan Jao Pedro to Mateta next game week. Worth it. 2x 4.0 defenders. I'm not hugely in love with two 4.0 defenders. I think Van Heck is pretty good. I think all right, 1105 has just messaged me, so I'm just going to quickly respond. But yeah, I think that's kind of what we're looking at, right? I'm just gonna quickly check if we actually have any news as well. Um, to be honest, all right. Enzo in, yeah, that's the play for me. Is Gabriel really yellow flagged? Yeah, I mean Arteta basically confirmed that he might not play, right? Hi, Fran. I have Timber and Gabriel. What do you think of me swapping Gabriel for James? I just don't think it's worth the transfer, right? Unless like you're going to wildcard immediately after this, and you don't actually have enough players, then something to think about. Um, yeah, I mean the main thing is there's not going to be any more press conferences, and then the only game tonight is going to be West Ham versus Leeds. So I'm probably just going to make the move on the deadline stream. But we'll talk about that in a moment. What happened about Enzo? I mean, he's fit and he should be ready to play. There's nothing that's happened to Enzo. He is fit exactly as the snake says. For free transfers, John's going to do Gyökeres, Reinders, Stack, Virgil to Krupi, Saka, Enzo, Keane. I actually quite like those moves. I do think, though, like, you don't necessarily need to do the Gyökeres to Saka move. I've only done that myself because I'm quite aggressive, and I think in a few weeks' time, I probably prefer Saka to Gyök as opposed to saying right now I think Saka's better than Gyök. That's not true. But it's just a preference thing, and it was a luxury for me. So I think if you like the rest of your team and that kind of gets rid of all the issues in one go, I mean, fair enough, go for the 4 free transfers. What's my move? Yeah, I mean, the move that I've made is to just simply go for Gyökeres to Krupi and then Reinders to Saka, but then I will still also do Paqueta to Enzo. Probably close towards the end of the deadline stream is when I'm going to make that move. Is it a conversation to start Dubravka over Raya, with the upside being a 7-point swing, while the downside might be a 3-point swing in favor of Raya? I mean, yeah, but you can't think about upside and downside like this because you also need to think about what your average case is. I mean, the average case that Dubravka concedes, I think, is a lot higher than Arsenal conceding, just given the quality of defenses, respectively. Like, even if you look at last week, I mean, Burnley were playing at home, right? And they still got honestly decimated in terms of chances from Leeds. Now, of course, Leeds didn't convert them, but I think it's just more about if you had to take a choice, the clean sheet odds are pretty glaringly clear in favor of Arsenal. So why not just play the Arsenal player? Because yeah, I mean, what I'm basically saying is the opportunity, I suppose, and the average case of getting the floor of Dubravka is much higher than, let's say, getting the floor of Raya. Um, yeah, just something to say there. Like if I look at some of the odds for this week, for example, that we have presented, I mean, Arsenal are here predicted to concede like 1.1 versus Crystal Palace. So I think I'd take those chances. I mean, Crystal Palace as well, you kind of have to respect how good they are as an offense, right? So I would think that this is a team capable of taking shots against this Arsenal team. And then equally, like, I mean, if you want to be honest about Wolves, I mean, they haven't been super offensive as of late. It's not like they'll crack too many shots that will sort of put Dubravka in the danger of, making, I don't know, like 6 saves or something like that. And I think, if anything, if a keeper has to make that many saves, more often than not, that's going to be a pretty bad outcome, right? So I would just take the clean sheet odds there and just sort of side with that for now. Monks, thank you so much for the super chat. Guardiola to Trippier this week, plus Sar game week 10. Do we really have to go Trippier this week? Or Guardiola and Reinders to Keane and Enzo? Now, I prefer Keane and Enzo. Of course, I mean, if you had to start Stack and TJ though, that question, I'd probably actually start Stack because he just has a good game and he's probably gonna make it past 60 minutes. Whereas on our TJ, I think that's generally in doubt. So yeah, I prefer line 2 and I prefer starting Stack. Hi, Fran. Who would you pick on wildcard? First option is Gordon Richard. Second option, Munoz and Njai. I would go Munoz and Njai for sure. I do think that Gordon's minutes are a huge dampener to sort of his value right now. So if you can just simply go for someone like Njai, who plays more minutes, is also on penalties, and to be fair, has a similarly mixed set of games like Gordon, I would just go Njai. One free transfer, Reinders to Enzo. I think that's a great move. My defense is Porro, Williams, Agbadu, Anderson, and Senesi. You've got 2 free transfers. So I guess even Porro is relatively at risk. Williams isn't the best, but of course, I think going forwards, you'll actually like to keep Williams. Agbadu is a problem because is Agbadu back to starting games? I actually didn't monitor that last week. Let me double check. Yeah, he's still not starting games, right? So I don't think that's going to happen. I'd probably just go out of Agbadu now. Maybe go for someone like Michael Keane. I think you can reasonably play Porro, Keane, and Senesi this week and then call it a day. Now, of course, if you can bring in Arsenal players like maybe a Urian Timber. One free transfer, Reinders to Enzo. Yeah, I've already said that. I think that's a great move. I mean, I'm about to do Paqueta to Enzo, to be honest. Who do you prefer for this week, Croupier or Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I would play Dominic Calvert-Lewin if I had him over Croupy. Part of this is because I think Calvert-Lewin's more likely to play the full match compared to Croupy, who, as we saw, even last game had a great game, but still was subbed off at 75 minutes, right? And of course, we think, notionally speaking, Nottingham Forest is a bit better than West Ham. Start Goodmanson or Tosin. I would start Goodmanson because I don't think there's a guarantee that Tosin will actually start. Like, I don't think that's nailed in. Enzo or Timber for a hit. I'd probably still prefer Enzo in this case. Would you bench boost Dubravka? Unless, of course, you don't have enough defenders, right? Like, I've seen some people's defenses this week. It seems like, of course, just due to the amount of injuries, etc. Yeah. We'll see. I just think if you have a really poor defense, you'll go Timber. But I don't think Arteta's trolling, but I just think either Gabriel's going to start or he's not going to play it, right? So why would I have to change my defense around? Would you bench boost Dubravka, Sarr, Road, and Richards? I probably wouldn't. Honestly, I mean, you're asking for a lot there in terms of getting a result versus Arsenal. That would be positive for quite a few of those players. Rodon's really good, though, so I'd probably play him if I could. Good evening, Sir TQ. I have Gabriel, Anderson, and Alderete. What move do you recommend? Probably some sort of... like some player into Michael Keane, I think makes sense for yourself. Hold Paqueta this week or sell. I think if you can upgrade Paqueta to someone like Enzo, it makes sense. Now, if you're thinking about something like Paqueta to Minte, I think that's more along the lines or territory of that being a bit of a side grade type move. Mosquera's good backup, yeah, but this is also a Sunday game, right? I think like part of what Arteta is just saying is that if they think that there's a risk to Gabriel that they won't play Gabriel, but of course if there's no perceived risk to him, then he's just going to play Gabriel, right? I don't think it's necessarily set in stone that he's under sort of major risk. Sar Caicedo. In terms of starting, I'd start Caicedo for sure. This season, Arteta has squad depth, so it does not need to risk Gabriel. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean Gabriel is completely out, right? Also, I will say that, for example, like the last time we saw Mosquera play versus Newcastle, I don't think it was like the best performance from him, and that was a tough opponent, right? I think like if the opponent was a little bit worse, there would be like no consideration. I probably would think 100% Gabriel is not going to be risked, but I think because Crystal Palace is actually, if you think about it from a sort of fixture difficulty perspective, one of the tougher games. Like I wonder if there's an aspect to, like, if you think about Saliba also getting rushed in to play versus Man City, when Saliba probably was also a bit of a risk back then, that yeah, you have that issue. But yeah, I appreciate you need to keep Gabriel fit. It just seems like there's a chance. And in my position, it's not like I don't have a defender, right? I've got Lacroix. Um, I think the Gabriel flag would stop me from bench boosting. The reason why I haven't changed my team is because I either think that I just think that Gabriel's basically either start or not start, right? Why would I have to worry about anything else? Troopy or Strand Larson for game week 9? I mean, I'd rather have Strand Larson. The problem about Strand Larson is that he is quite expensive, so keeping him beyond this game week doesn't seem too fun. Start Reinders or Njai. I think I would definitely just start Njai. I mean, I don't even think it's remotely close. You've got Reinders versus Aston Villa away, which is just a tougher match, and then Njai has just been bowling out this season. Plus is on pens, plus is guaranteed good minutes. Which players did I take out? So far, I've only taken out Gyökeres and Reinders in my team. I did that on Sunday evening. If Gabriel doesn't start, I hope Crystal Palace win. Yeah, it's an interesting case, right? I guess if Gabriel's out, it probably actually makes me think that I could maybe play Mateta. I don't know. We'll see. Hello, thanks for your content. Bench one, Mateta, Kudus, Paqueta. I think I would still probably play Paqueta just about over Mateta. But if you just don't rate West Ham at all, I get just playing Mateta. Like, you can trust Palace a lot more as a team. Let's be honest. Something I need to think about too is like, because Liverpool is the game that Palace have quite quickly. Like, if I think about the games in succession that Mateta has had, he's just played versus, what was it, AEK Larnaca, and then he's got Arsenal on Sunday. I just don't know if Mateta's minutes will be perfect this week, but we'll see. They're probably going to also be in a losing game state, so who knows? Mid transfers this week looking to bench boost. You've got Gabriel though. I mean, I think I'd probably think about, is next week still reasonable for the bench boost for yourself? Oh, there's so many of you guys in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining. Please feel free to like and subscribe. That really does help support the channel. We actually got to 46,000, so thank you guys so much once again. Hopefully we can get to 47,000 quite quickly. Would you start a Leeds defender over Reinders? 100%. Yeah. I would not feel really comfortable starting Reinders. Like, even to the extent where I think I would actually play Sar over Reinders. You just have a full guarantee of a player, right? So that's the key thing. I have 4 free transfers and I have Salah and Reinders as my 2 main issues. Do I wait 1 more week and bring Sar / Minte and Saka? I have 4. I would probably go now. I don't like Reinders too much. This is a good Salah game, undoubtedly. And I still think, despite what we've seen in the Champions League, that Salah's probably going to start. And I think if you get Saka, you feel justified by doing that. Benji, nice to see you around. Tempted to sell Gab over Gyok to get Saka. I think it's risky in the sense that how long do you think Gabriel is reasonably out for? Does it really change your mind too much? Fran Sarvers, Mark Gu. Hey, Chai, nice to see you. My bones tell me Gu. Yeah, I would go Gu there. Take the upside. There's obviously a chance that Gu just gets subbed off at 45 again. Like, I don't think that's bewildering. If Gu starts, is João Pedro, Enzo a better option? Enzo's not some sort of defensive mid. I just think it's one of the most overblown narratives in football that I've seen this weekend specifically. Let me show you something, right? So we're going on a website called understat.com. Enzo Fernandez, all right? So this is Enzo as a player, okay? So you can see his stats, right? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to filter Enzo for defensive mid, and you can tell me if the stats change massively, right? So this is Enzo's defensive mid, okay? His XG is at 0.19. His XA is 0.18, right? So that's a pretty decent player. Now let's filter Enzo for attacking mid Enzo. Attacking mid Enzo is 0.33, and the XA is 0.15. Now, I don't know if that includes penalties, so that's going to be a problem. But that's attacking mid Enzo. This is midfielder Enzo. So basically what he usually does anyways, which is box crashes an 8. And the XG and XA is exactly the same. Probably actually worse than, for example, when he's playing at DM. So unless we think that the sample for the AM is extremely true, which I think is hard to say because he's only played so few games there. This is around, what, let's say 9 minutes, like 9 games of football, I would say, like full games wise. If you think that that sample is super indicative that he is going to drop off a massive cliff, which I don't think so. Like, I think if you look at his overall career numbers, if he's able to sort of produce this, roughly speaking, at DM, and he does, then he's still going to be a good pick for me. And realistically speaking, like, the role that he has in Chelsea, I don't think is what we can sort of equivalent to, how would you say this, like, being a DM. I think João Pedro, like, they kind of have twin 10s or twin 8s, if you want to sort of say it like this. And then they've got a striker, right? And your classic double winger setup. So, yeah, I think Enzo has always been basically this sort of box crashing player. You're not asking for someone to get like 5 shots a game from Enzo. He probably is more close to like 1 shot per game, 2 shots per game, but then actually pretty good at actually getting to good spots. Which, yeah, as I said, I think if a DM can get 0.19 XG per 90, that's really solid still. And then, of course, this is a better game. Plus, he also has penalty potential. So, I mean, that's why we like Enzo. Can I captain Bowen? I probably wouldn't do it. Enzo new Lampard. Because of Evan Nilsson, you're locked out of Gyok to Krupi. But then I think solve Evan Nilsson first, right? Because I don't think there's necessarily a need to go Saka this week, personally. I think for me, it was a luxury move because it was the position that I was put in. But so many of you guys actually live on stream early, so thank you so much. Why is Reinders suddenly a bad pick? I just think minutes is the major problem. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's a bad pick. It's more so if you were telling me that Reinders is going to play more towards like 60 minutes a match and maybe has a small benching potential versus he was 90 minutes like at the start of the season, I think I would say he's much worse. Not to mention that City's fixture just undeniably are worse. Like, if we think about the fixtures, right? What are the historical fixtures that we've just come off of Burnley at home, Brentford away, Everton at home, and now we're heading into Aston Villa away, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away. Like, it's a terrible fixture run for City. There's no sort of there's no need to sort of water over the cracks over there. I mean, it's just a bad run. So if you think Reinders is an extremely explosive player and you can't miss out on him, fair enough. But I think it's just if he's not that interesting anyways, there's a lot of comparative picks with better minutes, with probably better fixture runs. This is a good time to sell Reinders. As simple as that. I bet all the most transferred out players will hold this week. Yeah, sure, that can happen. But all the transfers in can also do well, right? Start Saka or Reinders. I mean, the main thing with FPL is you sort of make You make decisions like this because you know that Reinders' next few games are also poor. It's not the fact that Reinders has one bad game, right? It's one bad game supplemented by a couple more bad games. So you just make the decision based on over the next few game weeks. Like, would I rather be someone who bets against Reinders or with Reinders? I'll keep Semenyo because he's just yeah. The thing with Semenyo is that is one of those things where it's just like if you do a move away from Semenyo, I just think you're losing transfer value, which is going to hurt you long term. And then second of all, you probably want Semenyo in 2 weeks' time. So unless you've got 5 free transfers and you really want to do this yo-yo, I don't really see the point to go out of Semenyo. Consider keeping Paqueta. I still, not really. Because, I mean, even if he gets DEFCON, it's like, okay, so what? I'm bringing in Enzo, who I think is just going to outscore someone who gets DEFCON this week, right? If I really want to just pure DEFCON, I might as well just get own Florentino Luis. On bench, who's going to keep Gabriel, transfer out Foden for Enzo or Bruno? Yeah, I'd probably go Bruno right now. I don't think you necessarily need to transfer out Foden if you have Gabriel as an issue and you have a bench boost. Kind of a tricky situation. I almost think... it's a tough one, actually. What would you guys do, chat? Would you do... If you had Gabriel on a bench boost, would you sell him or not? Just gonna put a poll in chat, see what you guys are gonna say here. I actually think I would sell, but I'd only sell on the proviso that I actually have like 4 to 5 free transfers. I wouldn't really do it any other way. He might play. We talk about Gabriel. You kept Reinders and Wildcard 8 as an 8 attacker. I didn't say he's a bad asset. I'm just saying I still think that there's an easy way to sell. Is it worth it to try and squeeze some Man United attackers into my team since they have one of the best attacking records in the PL? They also have a good... Yeah, but you can say the same about Crystal Palace, right? So I don't think it's some sort of immediate threat to have a United player. Like, I've got Bruno, I'm happy with Bruno, I'll keep Bruno for a long time, but it doesn't mean that I need to get like another United player. And equally, it's not like Bruno's the most pressing transfer in the world or Mbemo. Like Enzo's interesting. He's got a good run himself. Like, there's a lot of players too. Like Gakpo himself has a pretty good run. Never he's the best center mid in the game. Are we talking about Reinders? Good thing you don't need to just buy center mids, right? Would you start Mateta or Reinders? I'd probably actually start Mateta. Once again, bit more guarantee over minutes. Agbady replacements, Keane. Oh, you can actually afford Timber. Just go Timber. Munoz or Rodon is the first defender of Gabriel's out. I'd still have Rodon over Munoz this week. Who to play over Reinders? Sar, Goodmanson, Munoz. I'd just play Goodmanson, personally. Would you start Guardiola, Stack, or Reinders? I'd start I'd still start Stack, but I actually think he's only going to play something like 60 minutes. 60, 70 maybe. Oh, is the Pep Guardiola face a new meme template? Triple Captain Holland? Yeah, not versus Aston Villa way, I don't think. AKPKRK. Hey Fran, hope you're well. Dubravka makes sense. Who's your bench goalkeeper? Man, I would play Rye over Dubravka, but that's up to you. Because the thing is, you're not even playing Palace players, right? So why do you have to play Dubravka? Either way, Gabriel, Senesi, Chalobah, I think that's great. Semenyo, Paqueta, Eze, Kudus, pretty good. Pedro, Waltemad, Holland, yeah, solid. Virgil, you're benching Virgil van Dijk. To be honest, it kind of makes sense, actually. You've got a really good... You've actually got a really good defense this week. I mean, do you have a bench boost? That's a bench boostable team right there. You might have bench boosted already. I can't remember, but that's a great team. Like, I think even your bench is... Enzo's coming in for me. That's correct, Bobby. Palhinha for Paqueta for free. I don't think that's worth a transfer at all. Goodmanson or Munoz, one bench if Gabriel's gone. I'd have Goodmanson. First of all, thank you, Mattia. But yeah, I think I'd have Goodmanson over Munoz. Just because of the fixture. Start Boner, DCL for me. Play Sar, Reinders. I would play Sar. I'm not super confident Reinders' his minutes. And I don't think it's a great Reinders game, honestly. I know it's not a good Sar game, but at least I think his minutes are good. Thoughts on Chalobah? I think Chalobah's wonderful. I mean, I suggested him on my wildcard draft last week. I mean, I would own him if I could. With Gabriel News, would you do a -4 for a defender if you have Agbadu and Anderson on the bench? I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I kind of think holding Gabriel actually has more value than that. Yeah, no one's selling Gabriel in the bench boost, which also is a problem, though, right? Because so does that mean you guys all think Arteta's lying, or what do we think is going on here? Start Longstaff or Sar? I'd start Longstaff just because of the game. Well, don't sell Gabriel, then sell Agbadou. Yeah, sell Agbadou. Maybe just get Keane then. Ross, thank you so much for the super chat. That's Van de Ven, isn't it? Foden, Reinders, Gyökeres to Timber, Saka, Enzo, Krupi. I quite like those moves. I quite like it for 4 free transfers. I mean, it's quite similar to the moves that I've made, right? To be quite honest, like you're about to move into 3 out of 4 of the moves that I've made. Arteta's the lying cheat, possibly. Well, that is true. Arteta's word feel useless at this stage. At this stage, God, I'm literally mumbling. Yeah, I mean, like we've all been hurt. I mean, the thing is, he's said things that are truthful and false at the same time. So it's just like, it doesn't mean much. I don't think I can say with certainty though, right? Like I remember there are instances where, for example, he said Saka is not fit to play, and then suddenly Saka doesn't play because he's rested. I also remember circumstances exactly like this where he's saying, someone like Gabriel is not fit to play, and Gabriel's just going to be in the starting lineup. So let's just see what happens. Wait and see, as all managers in the Premier League say. What's wrong with Gabriel? So he kind of suffered an injury within the Champions League match, and apparently Arteta has said he's not trained so far. So he's a bit of a doubt for the weekend. Gabriel was stretching mid-game, but he wasn't able to train. Could easily just mean he was given a day off. That's the thing, too. I mean, you have Champions League. The game's actually on Sunday, not on Saturday. So he technically has almost an extra day of training to have. It's not just today's training, right? He could train tomorrow and be fit on paper. Who to start? Doku. Who's Butter? Is that Rutter? Sorry. That's a new way of doing it for me. I think I'd probably have Doku, maybe. JP captain, I would not like to do that, Luca, personally. Have funds for Reinders to Semenyo, or is Enzo better value over Semenyo? I think over the short term, I think Enzo might be a touch better than Semenyo, but then I think it comes down to risk preference, Birdman. So like if Semenyo is owned by like 90% of the game. So if you want to go against 90% of the game with the pick and you don't mind it, you actually like taking that risk taking approach, I think Enzo's better. If you don't like, for example, the pain of dealing versus someone who's got 90% ownership, then just play Semenyo. He said he hasn't trained, not that he hasn't playing. Yeah, I never said that. I never said that, though. I don't see what's the point of benching Gabriel, though. Although, then again, you can actually sort of... Yeah, to be honest, exactly what happened to Saliba versus Newcastle, right? That's a good point. I didn't actually think about this, but yeah, that did happen to Saliba. Are we really starting Dewsbury Hall over Mateta? We really might be. I'm almost backing double Arsenal defense, but let's see. You've got Gabriel Senesi, Richards, Rodon, Goodmanson. Should I try and upgrade Richards to a Munoz or any other? I mean, you can upgrade Richards in the future, but don't upgrade Richards this week. It's not really worth it, right? I love Voltamad, yeah, personally. Yeah, he would be the... If I didn't go for like a Krupi structure, I think I'd be pretty comfortable going Gyok to Voltamad. Are you not picking Enzo anymore? I will be picking Enzo at the end of the stream. I just think there's no need to necessarily make the transfer right now. Should I take a hit to remove Salah for Saka? I don't think it's worth the hit. I still think Salah's going to play. But I could be wrong, right? If you think, for example, let's say that Champions League game was like revelational for this Liverpool team and they're going to continue to bench Salah going forwards, then maybe that's the case. But I still kind of think that we're not going to see that. 300 of you guys in the chat, really appreciate that. Please feel free to like and subscribe. That really does help support the channel. And Jair or Sar in the long run. Sar for me. Should I start Krupi over Gabriel now? I probably would. What do I do? You've got Anderson, Alderete, and Gabby. Is this a good entry in Virgil? I think it's a fantastic one, to be honest. I mean, all you need really is rotation and cover in Game Week 11, right? And Virgil actually ends up becoming a super good long-term pick. Like, Brentford away is great. Aston Villa at home, honestly, is great. They still look pretty flat as a team. If you look at the Aston Villa chances for Tottenham, like, they were nothing. They were just like, they were screamers and they were worldies, but it doesn't really, that's not really indicative of a team that's actually like creating quality chances. And then what, the run that basically starts from Nottingham Forest at home, I mean, like, that's disgustingly good. You know, potentially one of the best defenders in the game. So, you know, Virgil has done nothing for me so far, but I'd really like him to do something. That would be helpful. What do I do? You've got Anderson, Alderete, and Gabby. That's painful. I'd probably go for a Michael Keane move somewhere. What do I? Sorry. What are your thoughts on Ekitike as a potential Gyökeres replacement? The thing is, Isak still seems like he's around the corner, and I don't think Ekitike's minutes are just about perfect yet. I also think Gyökeres is a really good game. Yeah, the Virgil van Dijk scoring the Champions League, and I think he also scored what in over the international break as well. So that, yeah, would be nice if he scored in the Premier League once. Fran benching Dilema, Gabriel, Timber, Chalobah, Munoz, and Senesi. Assist with benching too. Okay. At the same time, Frankfurt, they were awful. Yeah, I mean, even Konate got a goal, right? Let me see. Sorry. So the question was, who's more attacking out of Enzo, Neto? I think an open play is probably Neto just about, but at the same time, if you think Enzo has penalties and he's got set pieces, I think that kind of edges it out. Like in terms of the overall attacking umbrella. Start Foden or Sar. I would start Foden still. If Fran, would you start Sar or Mateta? I would start Mateta just about. Penalty taker, right? Take that chance. Who's more? Sorry, I'll let you answer the same questions over and over again. Take a hit to sell Reinders for Enzo. I don't think it's really worth the hit personally. Um, you've got one free transfer, but I need Mateta for João Pedro for the following week. The only thing to do is Gabby to Timber this week to play it safe. Yeah, I don't mind that, to be honest. I think that's safe enough. Do you think Guardiola's a must sell? I don't think so. I think he's going to play this match, right? Also, next wildcard, Donnarumma's goalkeeper and triple Arsenal defense to maximize chances of high ceiling. Timber getting 22 points. I mean, I think I'd still just go Pope over Donnarumma, to be honest. I just think that's similar quality defense and you just save money anyways. Timber getting 22 points against Leeds. Yeah, I don't really disagree with you. Like if you think you just want to go triple Arsenal defense like that, like I think I'm fine with that. You accidentally use your free hit and you must have for this game week. Fair enough. Can you cancel the free hit? I think you have to go triple Chelsea somehow. So triple Chelsea attack, but maybe one defender is interesting. Like Reece James is not crazy. I think Bruno is interesting. Triple Arsenal like goes without saying. Probably Gakpo in the free hit. I mean, I'd probably still go Waltemad personally. On defense, I think you can actually go quite light on defense. Thing is, you're probably going to spend the money on the Arsenal players, so it's probably just a case of you going like Timber, Calafiori, then maybe you go Saka, right? Top things off. I kind of think that's it, right? And then in terms of like actual cheap defense, like Leeds are a pretty good option this week alongside Senesi. But yeah, it kind of depends on what your approach is, right? Because if you want to go, let's say Reece James, then suddenly you don't really need triple Arsenal defense, I would think. But those are the kind of options that kind of crop up in my mind. I guess like Rodon is very good. Bogle is actually really interesting for a free hit because I mean no one owns him, right? A lot more people own Rodon. I'm trying to think if there's like any cheap beasts for this week within like the midfield position, but I don't really think there is. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a good week for, like for example, if I think about someone like Minte, right? It's not exactly a great week for Brighton, so it's like, is there value there? Some of the cheaper mids like Stack's not playing too many minutes. Like I guess if you needed to squeeze Longstaff or John Arias there, it could be okay. Yeah, that's kind of those are my thoughts generally speaking. For the week. cheap beasts, Elliot Anderson, or maybe the likes of Tavernier. Yeah, but on a free hit, it's like, is that really interesting? Elliot Anderson, like you're kind of what asking for Elliot Anderson to basically just hit the floor versus Bournemouth. Um, so yeah, that doesn't seem super appealing. Yeah, not many though. I agree with you. Mount injured would make me hotter on. Is Mount injured? So sorry. Did I completely miss this? Oh my god, I actually didn't even know this. Okay, interesting. Huh. Yeah, I guess you could go Mbomo on the free hit quite safely. Even Cunha. I'm gonna play Enzo. I'm just gonna make the transfer in a bit in a while. Mount injured means Bruno plays further up. Not necessarily, right? Because you can just do Cunha, Sesko, and Bemo, so nothing changes. Rodon or Van de Ven bench one. Van de Ven for sure. Start Guehi or Mateta have double Arsenal defense. I'd still play Mateta. I'm gonna change my vice captain because I forgot to do that. OP Town, thank you so much for the super chat. Start Gabriel and Tosin, bench Munoz and Estev. Chances. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Tosin's gonna start personally, but let's see what happens. It's quite a good match for Estev, but it's still an away game. I don't know. I really don't think Tosin's gonna start, but I mean, there's a pretty high likelihood that Tosin can come off the bench, right? Especially since, like, if you think about that Chelsea team has been pretty run down. I don't know if they try to close out the game in some sort of, like, how many matches does Tosin come off the bench? Realistically, only one match, but I mean, it literally happened in the previous game, right? He played 9 minutes in the last game. I just think it can happen again. I actually would bench Tosin. I know it sounds terrible, but I don't really see him starting. So I would just play Estev over Tosin and then bench Munoz first, have Tosin back on the bench. But it could go really wrong. If you don't believe me, then as in, like, you don't agree with me, I think then yeah, just keep it the way that you have. Use my free transfers to get Salah in last week on 562, but it's not looking good. Oh, God, that must be pretty rough. We'll have to see what happens. You're good at cap and cope? Okay. Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens with Salah's minutes, right? I mean, if he has some form of good performances over the next few weeks, like, we might all be still moving to Salah in a few weeks' time. Tosin Akiampong's a 50-50. I just don't see it because Tosin actually started the Champions League match, so Akiampong for me is more like 80-20. I'm happy to be wrong with this, but we can revisit this next week for sure. See if I was actually right. I have Gravenberg sprained ankle, and after selling him, I would have 6.1 million. Is it worth to go Paqueta? I don't think it's worth to go Paqueta. I would actually just go Njai. Can't you go Njai this week though? This is a really good week to buy Njai. Tosin got subbed at halftime this midweek. Fofana played 90 minutes. Either him or Akiampong start against Sunderland. Right, but Akiampong still played much less minutes, right? Or am I wrong? Oh wait, no. Did Akiampong come in at halftime? I mean, I guess there's an aspect too of, like, Tosin actually hasn't played many minutes of football, right? So I kind of see the point there. Because I think I can Punk, but who played over Tosin though? Because I'm pretty sure I can Punk came in for Caicedo. Nah, that didn't happen. Someone else came on at 45 minutes for Tosin. Let me check. Tosin Chalaba came on for Tosin. You think Maresca wants? That's a good point. To be fair, Tosin for the aerial threat. I can kind of see the value of that. Yeah, maybe then just play Tosin. One of my plans with Big Virgil, hold him forever, basically. Bench booster given in situation, leave it for now. I also think it's a little bit overplayed how good Sunderland might be on set pieces, right? Bench booster given to Gabriel. I probably would still play the bench boost, but we'll see. If you, like, for example, like if you have a lot of players this week, like for example Leeds players that just simply don't have a good game next week, I probably would just pull the trigger on it. Welbeck, I can't trust that man, but I can appreciate if anyone wants to go for Welbeck. I've run thoughts on Reinders to Gakpo transfer. I think it's worth it because I'm not sure Reinders' minutes is good, and I feel like Gakpo's stock is at an all-time high right now within this Liverpool team. Is this too much money in the midfield? Saka, Semenyo, and Enzo, Sarr, and Jai? No, I don't think there's too much money you can spend in the midfield because I think you can convince me that there are variations where you go like cheap forward, like kind of like myself, and still have like maybe a Waltmart / Mateta with Holland, and that's a pretty meta structure. At the same time, you can go 3-4-3 with Gyökeres, right? I don't think either of them are actually bad structures. Bench Van Dijk for Gabriel. I think that makes sense if you kind of see Gabriel as a start or zero. I just need to double check something. Sorry. Okay. All right. Cool. Just sub. Thank you so much, Andrew. Hit for Timber. Remove Virgil. I don't think that's worth a hit at all. You all think Gabriel's going to start? I personally think it's like. I honestly think it's like 50-50. Because there's going to be people who are like 100% Gabriel doesn't start and he could just be benched. Like I've seen it way too many times where Arteta, like he's both lied and he's been both been truthful. And it's not like he said Gabriel won't play. He just said wait and see, right? So, one of the worst situations to be put in. I think Gabriel will play, but that's also maybe copium because I just hope he plays, right? Is Bowen captain silly? Not at all. I mean, I just don't like it. It's an away game, so I don't know where we're getting that Leeds is like a really poor defense. I just don't think they are. The reason why I asked about Big Verge is that I'm considering bringing in Ibu for Guardiola, just not convinced by Rodon Ball, personally. Yeah, I mean, you're going to play Rodon so much less after this week, right? He'd only be like a temporary play. Worst case scenario, Gabriel plays 5 minutes. 5 minutes would be quite a stretch. But yeah, I mean, that is plausible. I guess I have to almost see it as in like Lacrosse, the option that I have at the bench. Triple sock, I don't see that the point. I think there are still better Arsenal games to come, personally. Like if we wanted to talk about Saka, like I mean, if you really want to triple captain Saka, I mean, I kind of think like. Then again, I mean, they do have Wolves at home somewhere down the calendar. I think that's quite a good game. Even Brentford at home. Yeah, I just think they're just about better Saka games, so I would just take those chances a little bit later down the line. Is the way that I would take it. I still think Gabriel plays personally. Yeah, shock off the bench is fine. I think as long as you have some sort of bench, you just shouldn't worry about Gabriel. But I definitely wouldn't transfer Gabriel in. Definitely not triple Saki went mad. Keep or transfer Gyökeres out. I think he's worth keeping. If you have the luxury to do it, you can do it, but I don't think you need to. I've only done it because I think it's a luxury move for me, and I like making luxury moves. But I know some people don't like that because it's like saving free transfers can actually, alleviate future issues for yourself. Want to see Saka actually get a return without DEFCON Jam before a triple captaincy? I mean, his underlying numbers so far have been really good, right? Like even within the Atleti game, I think he had something like 0.4 xg, so he's doing fine. I wouldn't be worried about how good or bad Saka is, like now coming back from injury, that sort of thing. Would you bench Jorginho for Thiago? No, I'd probably actually play Thiago at home over Jorginho. Like it's a pretty bad game, United away, and Jorginho's minutes is still really subpar. Like they're 17 minutes most of the time. This could be a Thiago game, 17 minutes, but yeah, because of course we're starting to see that Keith really likes to play the back three. Should I keep Paqueta or change him to someone 6 million below? Would you rather roll or take a hit for a cheaper defender to spare up money for Enzo? I think I would. The only player that I like at 6 million below is Minte. I think I'd rather roll though. Yeah, and I don't think it's worth taking a hit. Do you think Reinders is too risky of a hold long term? Not really. Like I guess the irony of Reinders is he could be quite interesting in Game Week 13, but it's just like, what is the value as opposed of keeping Reinders over the next like 4 weeks almost, when his fixtures are really really subpar and his minutes are pretty subpar as well. That's kind of my view on Reinders. Yeah. So basically, all I'm saying is he could actually end up being really good long term, but it's like I think I'd still bet on someone who's better in short to medium term, and then just move back into Reinders, right? Like logically, it would sort of go along the line of fixtures. Um, Kudu's worth it as a transfer. No, as a hold, yeah. Doku or Gu, I'd play Gu. Would you buy Gabriel this week for Virgil van Dijk? No, I don't think so. Bring in Enzo this week or play Krupi Jr. and bring in Sar next week? I think both work. I would probably just go Krupi Jr. If you already have him in your team. Your name is Invisible FPL Man. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay. Interesting. Captain Paqueta? No. Um. Oh, the Gab News is a spanner. I'm definitely putting my Enzo in my team. Yeah, that's basically here we go confirmed esque. Would I start Sar Mateta? Probably Mateta just because penalties. Thoughts on Wildcard in 13? Like, I mean, Pedro Neto? I don't think he's that interesting. I'd still go Enzo over Neto. Is it worth holding Joao Pedro until Gaming 12? Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I would personally do it if JP was in my team. Anyone bring in Obi up front? I mean, I'm kind of doing, like, I've already done something similar, right? I don't see Krupi having too much value out of this game week myself. Did see Milinkovic got 12 DEFCON versus Porto. Would love to be on that wagon again. I think the concern with Nottingham Forest is that the fixture run is, I don't know. It really just depends on how good we think they're as a team. Because I still think, even going back to last season, I don't think I extremely rated them. And they're quite expensive, to be honest. Why Anderson over Lacroix? It doesn't make a difference, does it? Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Guess I'll just answer with doing that. Buy Keen or Burn? I'd probably just go Keen, I think, this week. I'm probably going to head off soon, guys, in around 7 minutes. Unfortunately. Fixture run's very DEFCON for Forest. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? There's so many good DEFCONers in the game. You know, Milinkovic isn't even a particularly good DEFCOner. So, you know, I guess like it's bank on Murillo if you want to. You know, Mateta is hyped, but is Mateta worth it long term? Nah, he definitely is. Because I think, like, sure, okay, Mateta can have lower ceiling minutes, but sometimes, but he's still going to play 19 games where they need to chase and that sort of stuff. So Mateta, for me, long term is great. I've got 3 leads on bench. And part of it, too, is just I think the overarching piece there is Crystal Palace look very underpriced as a team from the attacking perspective. And that even includes Munoz, right, who is an attacker at this point. Did I make the Enzo transfer? I will be doing the Enzo transfer in a few minutes before I log off. Yeah, but just putting them on my watch list, have no direct interest in buying them. Yeah, I think that's fair. You got 3 elite players on bench. Should I bench boost? 100%. Start Q or Krupi Jr. I personally think Krupi Jr. is probably nailed on to play slightly more minutes, so I would go Krupi Jr. But if you think, for example, that Chelsea game is more one-sided because of quality of like gaps between opponents, then maybe just go Q. What to do with Reinders? I've sold him, but I think like if you don't have a nice convenient move, like for example, like if you can't play someone who's a lot better, like I don't necessarily see Minte as like an amazing must do transfer this week, right? For example. So unless you can go towards, let's say, the Enzos, the Gakpos, the Brunos of the world for Reinders, I think you can kind of hold him this week. I'd bench Reinders over Jorginho this week. Enzo versus Njai, I would still go Enzo, but I think Njai is probably better until AFCON. Like if we think about the totality of the run. But I think Enzo I'd take for the next 4 weeks, even if he's going to be a transfer in Game Week 13. You making the Paqueta to Enzo move? Definitely. So what's the final call on Gabby? I think just play him and put him on the bench. I mean, play him and put Virgil van Dijk on the bench, right? Is Walter a viable captaincy option? I don't think so. Would rather Enzo short. Yeah, I agree. That's pretty much how I've responded, right? Sorry, Mateta for next 4 to 5 game weeks. I'd still say Mateta. Would you bench Minte or Njai? I'd bench Minte easily. When should we look to get rid of Sessn? Probably never, to be honest, if you bought in reasonably early. Like, the next 2 games, if you really need a defender, then maybe get rid of him, but we're going to want to have Sessn in our team as soon as Game Week 12 comes around, right? So if you look at the fixtures here, okay, 9, 10, 11, 9's actually a really good game, 10, 11 is really mediocre, and then it's, you know, West Ham at home, Sunderland away, Everton at home, great run of fixtures, which includes Burnley at home in 17, so yeah, I don't really see ourselves transferring Sessn out. If I wasn't to bench boost this week, I'd probably use like 4 free transfers to mix up my team to bring in Saka. Not really. I mean, it's kind of what I've done, right? So if I was to say that's overkill, I probably would not have the team that I have. What's happening with Gabriel? He's not been in training so far, and he did sort of take a knock in the Champions League game. But Arteta's not said anything like to the contrary with regards to whether he's going to play. It's just a wait and see. Start King or take a hit for Enzo? I'd probably take a hit for Enzo in that case. Triple Holland. I don't love this game as a triple Holland game, but I mean, look, this man can do anything, right? Is there really anything? Is there something that we even need to say about this freak? I don't know. I just think take the chance. Like, I mean, he's still going to be around with Leeds at home, Sunderland at home, West Ham at home. You know, West Ham at home looks so good still. Yeah, like there are just better fixtures down the run. What's my favorite 4.5 defender right now? Probably still Richards and then Keane in that order. Pretty close between the two. Someone asking how to get sell out is killing me. I mean, who knows if he can? I seem to have lost connection. Okay, I think it's back now. Sorry about that. I'm not sure exactly what was going on. Hopefully that's fixed. Um, just refreshed. Should I buy Gakpo for Reinders this week? I kind of like Gakpo as a transfer. Made 2 free transfers. Have another. Should I get Minte for Caicedo? Or for Paqueta? I think just roll with Paqueta. Personally, I would just roll. Did Bradford Richards Sar King bench boost? I think that's good bench boost. Honestly, no, I don't think so. Sorry, I think Richard, Sar, King all have bad games. No, I wouldn't do it. I've got 4 free transfers, playing bench boost this week. Go for it. He ventures with this team. I think if that's Elliot Anderson, I think you can bench boost, but obviously you know that there's going to be a risk with Gabriel. Doku or Gu, probably Gu. If not Holland, Saka, the next best cap, probably Bruno in my own team. But realistically, I guess the best cap on paper is Salah, but who says he's going to get perfect minutes? Hard to say, right? All right, guys, I think that's it for the stream. Sorry to say. Go to Captain Holland, going to Vice Captain Saka, going to bring in Paqueta for Enzo now. Sell Dewsbury Hall. No, I won't be doing that. Minus 12 for bench boost is not worth it at all. I would not do that. All right, let's bring in Enzo. Please don't spam in chat. Let's bring in Enzo. I mean, I can't imagine there's gonna be more news, right? Like I should just go now. Oof. All right, let's go. That is done. Benching Mateta. Kind of has to be done, I think. Hello, Enzo. Stack or Mateta. I'd probably play Stack. I don't love Stack personally. I will say that. Like I've been sort of pretty anti-Stack for a while now, but yeah. I think Enzo's just sensible for the team, and you know, hope for the best, I guess, with the squad. Sad to bench Mateta, but it is what it is. All right, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Best of luck with the deadline. Hope you guys get your green arrows, and I'll see you guys soon. But I think I'll be recording a lot of my content overseas, and